That's right. Welcome in. It is another edition of the Treasure Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we are talking District 3 activities week in, week out in the great state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney. We are joined by our Treasure Valley resident and expert, Logan Green. LG, what's shaking?
Hey, Brandon, just, enjoying the Treasure Valley's 60-degree day that we had yesterday and again today. I don't know if I'm ready for it, Brandon. I'm done with the cold and the gray. I know it's still really early to be looking forward to spring weather, but it's a nice taste of it.
Man, I didn't even think it's been that bad yet this winter, but you're ready, huh?
Oh yeah. No, I don't know why. I do get the winter blues, right? Where it's just like gray all the time. Like yesterday, my kids went outside and played in the front. It's like all the snow had melted and everything cleared away. There was no rain. And I was like, oh man, you guys can go outside. That's where it comes from, Brandon. It's my kids are stuck inside and I want them to go outside. And that is great when they can go outside, jump on the trampoline and not jump all over the couches.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Well, you can tune into this Treasure Valley Prepcast live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, or Twitter account. Couple of people tuning in. Thank you. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can throw something in the comments and we'll throw it up on the screen. Otherwise, you can always watch the replay of this on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, or Twitter account, or you can download this audio version of this podcast wherever you download and subscribe to podcasts: Google, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. You can also listen on our homepage, IdahoSports.com. Across the top of the homepage, there's a little tab that says Prepcasts. From there's a drop-down menu. You click on Treasure Valley Prepcast, and you are off to the races. Speaking of the race, Logan, the race is on for the Real Dairy Shootout Girls Edition in the great state of Idaho. District tournament action has started in just about every corner of the state. A couple of districts really won't get going until next week, but in the Treasure Valley, plenty of district tournament action already to dissect. Hard to believe, but we're like 2 weeks out from girls state basketball.
Yeah, I know it's right. It's here. Like, you got teams that are done. Here in the SIC, right? 5A girls, we had district games last night. Teams like Mountain View, Meridian, Centennial, and CUNA are all done playing basketball. They've moved on to track and field and softball. So it's kind of crazy that some team season is now complete.
Yeah, and so what we're going to do here, this is kind of a yearly tradition now on IdahoSports.com. I kind of assume my alter ego this time of year. I become Brackets Baney instead of Brandon Baney, and we break down what's happening in all of the district tournament action. I'll start doing, we started it already last Friday. We will have daily girls basketball bracketology updates on the homepage at IdahoSports.com about midday every day. I'll dissect all the statewide results from the night before, give an updated bracketology, Logan, and these are strictly kind of my opinions on how I think the field is going to shake out. I definitely raised a few eyebrows with what I was projecting in my initial projections, but we can talk more specifically about each classification as we get to it. But here on the Prepcasts, what we're going to do is put the district tournament brackets up on the screen so you can see, as of this moment, Wednesday morning, January 31st, where everything sits, what lies ahead, and kind of, who's looking strong to get to state. So what we're going to do is, if you're watching the video version of this, I'm going to share my screen and put the district brackets up on the screen, and you can just look at them and follow along there. If you're listening audio only, all of our district tournament brackets are on the homepage at IdahoSports.com, not just for the Treasure Valley, but every district across the state, and you can follow along that way as well. But Logan, are you ready to get it started?
We're ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Here we go then. Let's start with the 5A Southern Idaho Conference. Oh, and one more reminder, if you're watching the video version of this, you may need to make your video full size on the screen so you can read the bracket a little more clearly. Logan, this is a 13-team behemoth. Nampa, of course, this year chose to play an independent schedule, so they already were not going to participate in districts. So you had 12 teams essentially, which means we got to winnow the field down to 8, which means there were 4 play-in games last night, Tuesday evening. It all went chalk except for the 8-9 battle. Number 9 Capital went to number 8 Cuna, snuck out of there with a 2-point win, 38-36. Otherwise, number 5 Eagle beats number 12 Mountain View, 61-33. Number 6 Timberline beats number 11 Meridian, 66-33. And then number 7 Bora beats number 10 Centennial in a real shootout, 28-18.
Yeah, it's really common, right? I think to see this go this way towards the back end of the bracket, where you've got teams that are like Eagle and Timberline. Those, I know that they're quote lower seeds, that they don't get the automatic bye, but they're still really good teams going up against some of the bottoms, and so you see that. And Brandon, this is one thing I wanted to look at. So I was taking a look at where did the coaches put these teams in the preseason, right? And did they get it right? So if you look at the preseason coaches polls, which you can see on Idaho Sports if you go look back, the 8 teams remaining, 7 of them were in the top 7 of the coaches poll. The only team on the outside was Capital. Capital came in at 10, and they get in. The one team in the top 8 that's not is Cuna. So it came down to that 8-9 game, which is kind of what the coaches had anticipated, right? And it almost came up exactly. That game took it down to where if Cuna had won, they would have gotten it completely right? 1 through 7. But excuse me, I guess Centennial was the 7th. So Centennial is the team left out in the top 8 and move in Capital. Otherwise, everybody that was in that original, and Bora, sorry. Excuse me, I'm talking out of my butt here. But Bora was 9th and Centennial was 7th. So take them out. Bora sneaks in at the 7th spot instead of Centennial being 7, and Capital takes a spot of Bora or of Cuna. Yeah. Goodness gracious. Yes. The top 6 were correct. And yes, those were correct. You just put move Middleton up to 2. So the coach, what I'm trying to say is the coaches were right. I'll just stop talking. I can't get my words out.
That's all right. The coaches are not only smarter than us, they're able to speak and communicate a little more effectively than us as well. Logan, look at who we have in the chat here. Matthew Creech, girls basketball coach from Capital. Go Eagles. Yeah, that was a huge win on the road last night, coach. That was so exciting to see your team go. And now, hey, ultimate, you got to play the number 1 seed Boise in the quarterfinals, or the first round, if you will. It's going to be really fascinating to see if Capital can continue this run. But already having a tight win under their belt just makes them that much stronger. So here are the quarterfinal matchups, as it were. Number 1 Boise against number 9 Capital. Number 4 Owyhee against number 5 Eagle. Those games will take place at Middleton High School on Thursday, the 1st of February. And then at Owyhee, we'll have number 2 Middleton and number 6 Timberline, and then number 3 Rocky Mountain against number 7 Bora. Coach Creech, again, hey, appreciate the coverage and all that you guys do. Thank you, Coach Creech. We'll continue to chronicle your team as they make their way through. Now, because for Capital now, they've got a little bit of wiggle room here, Logan, right? Because you've now entered the double elimination portion of the bracket where one loss doesn't doom you.
Right.
And that's what makes
this. This is, yes, Boise's there. They are what they are, right? They are so good. And so if you're a team that doesn't matter if it's Capital or whoever it is that was going to have to face off with Boise first, like you said, it's a double elimination. You get the back end of the bracket and you can still punch a direct ticket to state. You don't even have to go through a play-in game. If you win a game, right? If you happen to lose your first round game, if you win your second game, you got a shot to just straight punch a ticket in the next game. And even if you lose, you still have a chance at a play-in game. So really, one victory goes a long way in the 5A SIC tournament. Really, if you win one game at all, you're pretty much you're going to at least be in a play-in game, worst case scenario. So there's a lot still to play for here. There's 8 teams and really 6 spots up for grabs. So again, you just don't want to go 2 and out, and you've got a great chance to at least be playing on Saturday for a play-in opportunity. So lots to play for here.
That's right. In this bracket, 4 teams are guaranteed advancement to state. It could be as many as 6. It could also be 5. The 5th and 6th place teams will each go play a state tournament play-in game. In terms of tiering these teams, Logan, Boise in a tier of their own, of course. I'd call them tier 1. Tier 2.5, I'd say, is Middleton. They're just a half a step above the others because they proved it during the regular season. And they did all the games were close though. So that's why I say 2.5. And then in tier 2, I've got Owyhee, Rocky Mountain, and Eagle. I think the top 5, Boise, Middleton, Rocky, Owyhee, Eagle. I like all 5 of those teams to advance to state. Yeah. One of them will have to win a play-in game. And so the 5th place finisher from this district bracket, Logan, gets to play the 2nd place team from the East right here, 5-6B. That's most likely going to be Madison. Could be Thunder Ridge also. It could be Rigby if Madison pulled off like the ultimate upset. But I don't see that happening. It's going to be a little more tricky for whoever takes 6th place. They would have to play the 2nd place team from the North, which is probably going to be Coeur d'Alene. The defending state champs. Could be Lake City, but either way, I don't see a team from the Treasure Valley winning that matchup necessarily, with the caveat being Eagle went and beat Lake City last year. It proved me wrong. So
yeah, they made t-shirts about it, Brandon.
That's right.
Brandon, no, you're not brackets Baney, you're bulletin board Baney. That should be your nickname. I saw last week when you threw Cole Valley under the bus and they Connor Jackson or whoever it was from Cole Valley put a little pin on the timestamp where you said that they were going to lose. So I'm calling it. This is bulletin board Baney, not brackets Baney. But yeah, I agree with you that I mean we could see reality probably 5 teams coming out here because we've seen what SIC teams have been able to do against those teams from East Idaho so far this year. A lot of sports, it's flipped, right? We see it where maybe the East teams in different classifications, that could be true, right? Where East teams would come like 4A. I think they would take care of teams over here in the 4A SIC, but 5A, the SIC has taken care of business against teams from the East this year. And like you said, I think that'll continue. And I think those top teams, like you said, are gonna be there. It'll just be really, I'm curious to see how the Max Preps rankings shake everything out, and if we're gonna get some weird combinations of teams and where they sit. Guess we'll have to see. I mean, Middleton is a team that intrigues me. That if they get hot, they could be really dangerous in the tournament because and you talked about this last week with Cole Valley, their boy Middleton. They can shoot. And so they're not the biggest team in terms of height, but they can shoot. And if they get hot, they have a possibility of taking down a team above them. But I don't think there will be that many teams above them, or there shouldn't be when those brackets come out.
Okay, and that is the most intriguing matchup of the first round to me. It's not Eagle and Owyhee at the 4 and 5. Owyhee swept that regular season series, winning by 8 to 9 points each time. And it is hard to beat the same team 3 times in one season, certainly. But the matchup I'm looking at, Logan, is Middleton and Timberline. I think Middleton is in a bit of a precarious spot here. They only played once this year. It was way back on December 16th. Middleton won by 10, 45 to 35. So, pretty close game. Timberline veteran coach Andy Jones just always seems to push the right buttons at this time of year. Timberline could, if they get this win over Middleton right away, they could really upset the apple cart, as it were. So this is the game I'm most looking forward to: Middleton and Timberline.
Well, that's a good choice. I'm going to go with your Owyhee Eagle one. I think Middleton. They've won, I think, 15 games in a row, something like that. I think they're hot right now, and it's their time to at least. I think they'll be there playing at the ICCU arena. I think that they'll make that championship game. And I'm not saying it'll be a great game between them and Boise. They played way back in November. The second game of the year was when Middleton and Boise played. Or excuse me, that's when Timberline played them way back then. But it was early when Middleton played them, November 21st. So that was the third game of the year for Middleton. They're starting a lot of sophomores on this team, and they were growing into their team. Be curious to see how that one goes if they match up. But I like it 1 and 2 to be in the finals.
Okay, Logan taking chalk. I guess officially I'll say Boise and Rocky Mountain. I'll say.
Right.
Okay, we'll see. We'll come back next weekend.
So we did that Middleton Rocky game, right, a couple weeks ago. I was there for it, and Rocky led pretty much the whole game. Middleton won that game by 6, and they didn't lead by more than 3 for 8 seconds of that game. And that lead didn't come until the very end, the final minute. So, guess we'll see it'll be a good tournament no matter what. I feel like this is always one of the best tournaments in the state.
Yep, we'll see how it all shakes out for sure. That is the 5A SIC bracket. It picks up again tomorrow, Thursday, February 1st, with quarterfinal matchups. All right, 4A Southern Idaho Conference. Logan, nothing to report here because the 4A SIC notoriously is one of the very last leagues to actually start district tournament play. They've got still some regular season results to sort out, and we can't even really seed any of the teams on the seed lines yet. We can tell you Valley View is probably going to they'll finish last and will not be a part of this tournament. There are 7 teams in the SIC. 7th place doesn't get to participate, unfortunately. But otherwise, 2 games separate Caldwell and Skyview in the lost column for 6th and 5th. Only 1 game separates Skyview and Emmett for 5th and 4th. Only 1 game separates Emmett and Columbia for 4th and 3rd. And then Bishop Kelly and Ridgeview are tied at the top. They're each 10 and 1 ahead of what we are anticipating is going to be a fantastic showdown tonight, Logan, in the regular season finale. Ridgeview at Bishop Kelly. BK won the first matchup by 5, 52-47. But then BK, of course, stubbed their toe earlier this season Ridgeview won that matchup by 5, 52-47. And then it was Ridgeview that stubbed their toe against Emmett. So whoever wins this rematch, it is a true winner takes first place. But big picture, I like Bishop Kelly and Ridgeview to both advance to state from this bracket.
Yeah, it'd be awesome for Ridgeview, right? I'm going to go. We'll talk about the number 2 team here in the standings, if that's the way it is. They have a great shot at both the boys and girls to make it to state. Now, I know the boys have never been, and I'm guessing the girls have not been either. If we sat down and looked at it, that they've never been. So that will be awesome for Ridgeview. Again, if you look at the coaches poll before the season, it was Bishop Kelly, Columbia, Ridgeview, which is the exact top 3 that we've got right now. Flip Ridgeview and Columbia, then Caldwell, Emmett, and Skyview, the bottom 3, and then Valley View at the very bottom. So the coaches really maybe a team flip here and there, but otherwise they were right on the money.
Yeah, and Columbia is going to probably take 3rd, and they've been really competitive, within single digits against Bishop Kelly and Ridgeview this season. So whoever takes first, I think, has the easier path to the championship, whereas Columbia could spoil in that 2-3 matchup for sure. We've got Joey in the chat. Go Warhawks. Optimism and enthusiasm at Ridgeview is at an all-time high this year, like you said, Logan, because the boys and the girls are both crushing it, which we love to see.
Yeah, no, they're playing very well. I loved watching that Ridgeview team a couple weeks ago when I was there for some games that they played in. And you know what? They've got the recipe, I think, I know those teams from the East, whether it's the District 5 team, whatever team comes out of it, and Hillcrest are just monsters. They are. But if anybody, I feel like, could get something done, it could be Ridgeview because of their height, at least on the boys' side. But I mean, it'll be awesome to see the Warhawks maybe punch their tickets for the first time this year.
That'd be incredible. Dane Pence, athletic director at Ridgeview High School. You might be a busy guy this year in March, which is in February, which is great to see there. All right, Logan, 3A District 3. This is the Snake River Valley Conference. They just had their last round of regular season games last night. A couple of eye-opening results, certainly. But here are the official seedings, and then we'll get to, trying to predict what happens here. But Fruitland gets the 1, McCall Donnelly gets the 2. They each tied for first place in the league standings at 8-2 in conference play. Fruitland gets the tiebreaker, so they each enjoy the first round bye. Parma gets third. They finished 7-3. Weiser takes fourth at 5-5. Homedale's 5, Payette is 6. I think we can comfortably say Parma and Weiser probably both advance. And then from there, that top 4, who knows?
Yeah, and man, Parma, they lost 2 heartbreakers down the stretch, right, in overtime. And I tell you what, that game against Weiser that they lost in overtime, Weiser hit a shot at the end of the third quarter, halftime. It was a great shot that went in, but I'm pretty sure it was still in the hands of the shooter when the horn sounded, and then that game goes to overtime. So if you're Parma, that might be a tough pill to swallow, looking ahead saying, man, I was a buzzer beater shot away from being in the top seed line, right? Because it's a big deal to be in that top 1 or 2 where you get a bye instead of having to play. But I really think, like you said, that those 2 teams, Weiser, Parma, are going to take care of business. And gosh, there's just no reason. I thought they looked really good in that game against Parma last week. And they're a team that I think could sneakily get hot. They did it a couple years ago, right? They went up north and won that play-in game. They're just a team that I don't think anybody really wants to play at this point in the season. They can go inside, they can shoot it out, behind the arc. But Kaylee LaRue was our player of the game, and she can hit buckets when she wants. Rainierson hit a shot from the corner to tie it and go to overtime. They've got players that can step up at the right time. So that would be my dark horse to come out of here as Weiser.
Yep. A lot of comments here in the chat. Joey says Dane Pence left Ridgeway last year. New AD is John Hartz. You're right, Joey. I forgot about that. We had a lot of ADs switch spots in the Treasure Valley this year. A lot of turnover there. Thank you, Joey, for correcting me there. Paul Kingsbury, our boss, says success at a school generally comes down to the PA announcer. Go Clay Hatfield. Of course, he's the PA announcer at Ridgeview. He previously PA'd at Homedale, which we're talking about here in this bracket. And then how about this? Matthew Arnold, big McCall Donnelly fan. There's several talented Arnolds on this year's McCall girls roster. McCall hit a 3 at the end of regulation to force overtime against Parma too. And they're the team that hasn't gotten much fanfare this year, McCall Donnelly. And Logan, in my official bracketology that's on the homepage at IdahoSports.com, here's how I officially projected this thing shaking out. I picked Weiser as my district champion. Kind of the same logic you use. Weiser's done it before. They've got a great coach in Lorraine Harrison. They just always seem to get hot at the right time. I then had McCall Donnelly getting second and the auto bid. And then I had Parma taking third and winning this state play-in game. This is going to be against either Kimberly or Filer, but I had Parma winning. So I did have 3 teams advancing, which means I had the number 1 seed Fruitland not making it.
Bulletin board Baney is back at it here, Fruitland fans. But man, these top 4, right now nobody's probably playing better than McCall Donnelly. They played.
They beat so here's what I'm saying. I'm gonna have to change my calculus a little bit here. Obviously, I won't. I'll stand by my official picks, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably wrong about this Weiser thing because McCall Donnelly beat Weiser last night, Logan.
Bad.
74-49. Yeah.
Yeah. And so was that an anomaly? Was it a fluke? Maybe, but was it McCall saying, all right, now's our time to shine? They have 1 loss since they lost to Parma on December 14th. McCall Donnelly has 1 loss since then against Fruitland last week. So 1 loss to Fruitland, who apparently is not going to state according to Bulletin Board Baney, that they're not good enough. But it would not surprise me. That's what I agree with you though. Like, it would not surprise me to see Weiser win the whole thing, right? That they could do that. It wouldn't surprise me to see Parma win the whole thing. It just, any one of these 4 teams, I feel like could beat the other on any given day. yes, McCall Donnelly took care of business. And do I personally think that I think they're probably the team right now to beat. Personally, I know that Fruitland just beat them, but I think they're the team that's playing pretty well down the stretch right now. They got 3 wins in a row. They just won an overtime game against Parma. They're looking great right now. I mean, that's not to take away from Fruitland either. I mean, Fruitland, they lost to Parma last Saturday. So, these teams, everybody's got a loss recently, right? So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. A good basketball team is not going to be playing at state, though, which is always unfortunate.
Yeah, I think it's still Weiser and McCall in the championship. Weiser did lose to Fruitland twice this year by 6 and then by 2. The most recent time, 52-50. And it's just so hard to beat the same team 3 times when it's been close every time. So I do like Weiser and McCall in the championship, but I will switch my pick here and say I think McCall Donnelly wins the districts. Joel says Brandon's new nickname, Triple B, Bulletin Board Baby.
Bulletin Board Baney. That was on the spot. I didn't even have that. I'm pretty impressed with myself to come up with that in real time.
Yeah, you did. That was really good. Yeah, this McCall Donnelly team, I mean, they have Gabby Green, who might be one of, if not the best, just overall athletes in the conference this year. Fantastic volleyball player, can really hoop it up. They've got Izzy Tinney, just a sophomore guard who's really stepped into her own this year. And then if Matthew is still in the chat, I'd like to know, there are 3 Arnolds on this year's team: Shyla, Riley, and Lexi. Logan, they're all guards, and I think they're all juniors. What is the relations here? Is there cousins? Are they triplets? Help me sort out this Arnold picture if you're in there, Matt.
Triplets would be great. I think Rocky Mountain, the girls, I think they had 2 sets of twins, which was pretty crazy. Middleton has cousins. They have a set of sisters and then a set of cousins that all have the same, that there's the Blackwells and then the Freeds. So it's not uncommon to have multiple relatives on the same team.
And then Maddox Arnold was the quarterback for McCall Donnelly's football team this year, and he could really spin it too. And he plays basketball. So, okay. Yeah, look at this.
All right.
Matthew says they're actually quadruplets, and their brother played for the Vandals, and they are Gabby Green's cousins. Wow, that is a really dynamic family.
Quadruplets.
Wow, that's incredible.
Wow, that's awesome. That's not one I've seen before, I think, is the quadruplets. That's awesome.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad we cleared that up because I knew they were all related, but man, that's awesome. Wow, what a family.
Hey, I'm going to be doing the 3A girls state tournament, so that'll be a cool one if McCall Donnelly makes it to follow in person there in a couple weeks.
There you go, Logan. You can already start doing your research and building out what storylines you're going to cover. That's awesome. That's cool. All right, let's move on to the 2A Western Idaho Conference. Logan, we had play-in games Monday night. Ambrose beats Compass Charter 5-8, 52-15. Marcine beats North Star Charter 59-20 in the 6 versus 7 matchup. No surprises there. Compass Charter and North Star Charter played mostly JV schedules this year. They played a lot of the JV teams from their other league opponents, and then they kind of knew coming in that, hey, we're going to be the 7 and 8 seed. And then last night, Logan, we had quarterfinal matchups here. It went chalk. Number 3 New Plymouth beats number 6 Marcine 55-25. Number 4 Nampa Christian beats number 5 Ambrose in a tight one, 46-39. I was watching a little bit of that game last night, and it was in the 4th quarter, a 1-possession game, for a good stretch of that. And then Nampa Christian kind of pulled away late there. So now we've got our semifinals set. Number 1 Melba is going to host number 4 Nampa Christian on Thursday, February 1st. Number 2 Coal Valley Christian is going to host number 3 New Plymouth, also on Thursday, February 1st. The losers of those games will play Ambrose and Marcine in loser out games on Saturday. Official bracketology. I picked Melba to win the district tournament. They split with Coal Valley in the regular season, but they won the most recent matchup. So that's where I went. I've got Coal Valley taking second and getting that second auto bid to state. And then there is a third bid on the table potentially. Whoever takes third place from this district will play the second place team from the north. It's looking like that's probably going to be Kellogg. And in my bracketology projections here, Logan, I've got New Plymouth going and winning that game. I've got the Lady Pilgrims going to state.
And they're a team that has been to state in the past. That they're a team back when the Christensen girl was there and she was taking care of business on the floor. It wasn't uncommon to see New Plymouth, so it'd be good to see the Pilgrims back there.
I just think Tara Lake has done such an incredible job coaching that team this year. And yeah, they're 8-12, right? But you have to look at, or I guess now they're 9-12, but they played Melba twice, Coal Valley twice. They played Class 5A Meridian. They played Class 4A Caldwell and Burley. They played a couple of 3A schools this year. So they've had a tough schedule. And I think just looking with my eyes and looking at the team, I think this is a team that could go beat whoever it is from the North. Just isn't as strong this year. Grangeville's really dominant, and then there's nobody.
They have a victory over Fruitland, who we just saw win the 3A SRV. Right. They played Fruitland twice. They lost to Fruitland the second time, only by 3. So this is a team that they beat Fruitland, and then they only lost to them by 3 in New Plymouth, right? And they, you look at some of their losses outside of the conference, right? We know Melba, Coal Valley Christian, right? Who have they lost to? Meridian, 518. Caldwell, 418. Burley, 418. They do have a loss in there to Nampa Christian, but then Vail, Oregon twice, Coal Valley, and then 318. So really not a lot of – they have not lost to a team besides Nampa Christian that is, quote, below them in any standings or anything. Everybody has been either a classification above them or like in the top 5 of the state. So I like your picks there, Brandon.
Yep. So we'll see if that projection holds true. And with my official bracketology projections, I will not make a change until a district tournament result, forces me to make a change. So I will stick with my Weezer pick in the SRV, and then we'll see how it shakes out. But
now, if New Plymouth gets in, you're probably looking at a team that's going to be an 8 seed more than likely based on their max prep rankings, and whether that's right or wrong, we'll find out. But I would think that would be a tough first round matchup for somebody to see. Even though they do have a losing record, I think it's a little skewed based on who they've played.
Yeah, can we stop down for a second and talk about the Max Preps rankings? We did this last week, Logan, and then I got a follow-up email from a Melba fan. And we talked about how ridiculous it was that Bear Lake and Malad the 2 in the 3 seed right now, right? And Coal Valley is 5 and Melba is 6. And it's like Melba just beat Coal Valley and have less losses. How is Melba not ranked ahead of Coal Valley? There's a lot of messiness here. And it was pointed out to me. We didn't even think about this, Logan, but you're looking at Malad and Bear Lake 2 and 3. I'm telling you right now, only one of those teams is getting to state, because Soda Springs is going to take a spot from that district. And so then what happens is either Bear Lake or Malad is not going to be there. So everybody moves up a seed line, and now this is going to be a huge injustice if this actually pans out the way it is. But you would have the 4 seed Coal Valley, the 5 seed Melba in the opening round at state. And that is this is what we were trying to avoid.
I said that last week. Yeah. I said it was weird. It's happened before on the boys' side, right? At the 2A level, like I think Ambrose ended up, who did they play? That's ridiculous. That's stupid. Like, I'm sorry, excuse my language, but like, that's dumb. Like, that is not fair. Nice. Way to go, computers. That's what we want is computers, right? Didn't we? Yeah, anyways.
Now, the computers still are better than just predetermining.
Yes, then precede it 100%, because you could get that anyways in the first round. We've seen number 1 versus number 2 in the first round when that occurred. So definitely better, but extremely frustrating that could happen.
I think the next step is rankings in conjunction with humans. and let's, use common sense, because to me, there's no question watching film and looking at results, there is a clear top 3 this year in 2A basketball: Grangeville, Melba, Cole Valley Christian. And then to me, there's a significant drop off to whoever is next in line. And to have 2 of those 3, and they would all be on the same side of the bracket in this scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, Grangeville would be your 1 seed, Cole Valley your 4, and Melba your 5. The 3 best teams all on one side of the bracket. It just, a human would look at that and go, nah, that doesn't make sense. That's not right.
So essentially, the 7 seed is going to get an easier first round game than Cole Valley and Melba, essentially.
I'm telling you right now, Logan, if
on that, like,
and I'm telling you right now, if the rankings hold and everything goes the way I think it's going to go, you're looking at Soda Springs as the 7 seed. I think they're in the championship. You're looking at a number 7 seed, Soda Springs, getting to the championship against whoever survives that gauntlet up top. How crazy
I think
is
this will be a great example of why the system needs some help. Because who's supposed to be the 2nd seed, right? Based on today, who is it?
Bear Lake or Malad. Yeah, Bear Lake or Malad, whoever.
And they're not gonna win. They're not gonna win their conference. You're anticipating. So that's.
And they would have to play Soda Springs. I mean, the team that probably will have just beaten them in the district championship. If district tournament results are really truly supposed to, impact this thing, shouldn't Soda be the 2 and Bear Lake Malad be the 7? I mean, it's just weird.
Well, and you know what, Brandon? I struggle with this in my sports fandom, right? As I'm a fan of teams that really stink, and sometimes it takes a horrible loss to somebody to help things change. And like, will it take a terrible seeded bracket for people to say, okay, enough? Like, this is horrible. Where we say, okay, we need to do something. Like, sometimes that's what it takes, is that, enough of the preceded stuff was so bad that something changes, and enough of this, it's so bad that something changes. It stinks, but maybe that's what it takes. I don't know, but
I'm just telling you right now,
unfortunate.
That 2A bracket is not going to be right. I'm just telling you that. And you've got a couple weeks to prepare for it. And just know, if you're a Grangeville, Melba, or Cole Valley fan, you're going to earn it. You will earn it at state. There will not be an easy road there. So that's going to be.
And you know what? Maybe they want that. Maybe they want, hey, you know what? You got to win. Theoretically, if you want to win a championship, you got to beat 3 of the best teams in the state. That's what you have to do. And so theoretically, that's, but you want it in the right order, right? So guess we'll find out. Should be fun.
The other part will be tough is that Melba, Cole Valley right away, if it happens. I mean, you're talking about playing them for the 2nd time in the span of 10 days or whatever it is. That's tough too. All right, let's go to 1AT1 Western Idaho Conference. Logan, we had one play-in game. Gem State did not participate in this year's district tournament. So there's 10 teams in this league. There's 11 on the boys side. Riverstone didn't have a girls team this year. They played just JV. Gem State didn't participate in this district tournament. So we had one play-in game on Monday. Number 9, Centennial Baptist at number 8, Idaho City. Idaho City wins that pretty handily, 44-15. And so now we've got the top 8 here in the quarterfinals tonight, Wednesday, January 31st, all home games for the top seeds. Number 1, Liberty Charter, going to host number 8, Idaho City. Number 4, Wilder, going to host number 5, Vision Charter. Number 2, Rimrock, going to host number 7, Victory Charter. And then it's number 3, Notice, hosting number 6, Greenleaf Friends. To me, there's a clear top 3. Liberty Charter, Rimrock, Notice. Rimrock did beat Notice by, I think it was 10-12. Yeah, when they played in the regular season. So to me, this is kind of cut and dry. Liberty Charter, Rimrock, maybe Notice gets a spot, if they get that switch flipped. But the big story here is 2 bids available to state, Logan. And the last time we were talking about this bracket, we were talking about on the backside here, this 3rd place game. Whoever won that, then was just done. It was a third place game that was meaningless, essentially, because the third place team then didn't get the opportunity to challenge for one of those 2 spots to state. They have fixed that, and there is a new challenge game down here this season. The caveat is whoever takes third place can challenge the second place team only if they haven't already played. So let's say Rimrock and Notice play in the semis. Rimrock wins. Notice takes third. Rimrock takes second. Notice could not challenge Rimrock because they had already lost to Rimrock. This is how every district and divisional tournament in Montana is run, with this challenge game. I love it. I think this was a great solution.
Yeah, it's a good option. And it rewards you for beating a team. And you don't essentially if they were able to come back around, let's just pretend it's the same situation. Rimrock now has to play Notice again. Notice wins it. Why does Notice get the bid? And in the last 2 games, they went 1-1 against each other. And so, theoretically, they had a easier path to get that bid, and they didn't have to play the champion in that game, right? So it's a great. I hadn't heard of that before seeing this one, but I really like the way it's set up.
Yeah, in Montana, the way they do it, Logan, and this is a different topic for another day, but when they do their so there's 3 rounds. There's districts, and then there's divisionals, and then there's state. So basically, you could think of it as like a district and then a regional and then a state. But they say, for example, these 8 teams, hey, we're all going to get together Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to meet up at this neutral site, and we are going to have a 3-day tournament, kind of mimicking what state would look like. And that's how Montana runs all of their postseason tournaments. And then if there needs to be a challenge game, they play it on the Monday after, Saturday's your championship and your third place. And then if there is a challenge game, it happens the following Monday. And it's a cool deal, and the fans get all fired up. And my high school played in several challenge games when I was in high school. And so, it's always a fun time. But just in terms of the challenge game itself, I think this is the way it should be done. And maybe other districts will look at this and see if it works or not, and then maybe make a change in their own district. But
yeah, I think it's a great way to do it. I agree.
Yep. But anyways, I really like this top 3: Liberty Charter, Rimrock, Notice. Kyla Jewett at Rimrock, just always, they always find a way. She is a fantastic coach. And for Rimrock, they're not much info gets out of Rimrock. We don't know much about them typically. They're not. It's hard to get info from there, but we know they're always right there and competitive. So,
yeah, the Lady Raiders seem to always find their way to stay. Them and Liberty Charter, it seems to always be those 2 that show up.
Yeah. And Liberty Charter is the exact opposite. Their coach emails me the stats after every game. I could tell you all sorts of stuff about Liberty Charter. Rimrock, not sure. Anyways, last one, 1AD2, Long Pin Conference. The seeds are set. This was based on kind of what happened last night. Not everybody played the same amount of games this year, Logan, and which makes seeding this a little tricky. Because so many games got wiped out due to weather. For example, everybody's supposed to play 10 conference games. The only team that got to 10 was Garden Valley. They went 5-5. Council played 9. Salmon River played 9. Horseshoe Bend and Cascade and Tri-Valley all played 8. So the standings look, a little wonky somewhat. But basically, last night, Council was playing Salmon River, or maybe that was Monday night. They were playing Salmon River. And basically, whoever won that was going to get the number 1 seed. Council won pretty convincingly, and so they are the number 1 seed. The rest of the bracket now, because Salmon River lost, Tri-Valley actually gets that 2 seed. So we're going to fill this in real time. This is going to be fun.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking. You heard it here first.
And then Salmon River gets the 3rd, and I'm looking at the official bracket we got from Tri-Valley High School here. So, and then number 4 is going to be Garden Valley. The rest is kind of what we already thought it was going to be. Garden Valley, Cascades number 5, and then number 6 is Horseshoe Bend. Kind of the same story as in the last bracket we looked at. There's kind of a clear top 3: Council, Tri-Valley, Salmon River, 2 spots available to state. Officially, I've projected Council and Tri-Valley to get those 2 bids. However, it'll be really interesting to see this Salmon River team. They played a lot of 8th graders last year that are now freshmen. They have an 8th grader on this year's team. Can this young team that doesn't know any better, find a way to get to state? That's going to be the big storyline for me.
Yeah, why not? And then they've really struggled with numbers lately. I mean, a couple of years ago, they only had 6 players, and were still able to find a way to make it. And, they have an overtime win over Tri-Valley back last Thursday. So, they lost to Tri-Valley the first time, and then were able to beat them in overtime. So they were able to flip the script. So potentially we're looking at a third matchup between Salmon River and Tri-Valley on Saturday that could determine who we see go to state.
Yep. Salmon River did play Council on Monday night. Council won 67-41. I think Council is the clear favorite here in this bracket. Yep. They're 9-5 overall. They didn't have a ton of games this year, and they took their lumps early, right? They played Kendrick and Lapway, which are 2, teams that'll be at state. They lost to Salmon River by 8 early in the season, 53-45. They went to that NISA Christmas tournament and played NISA in Burns, which, Burns versus Council is a huge disparity in size. And so you have to look at, the overall record, but also just using your eyes. Council had a couple of injuries early on this season. And so Council will go into the 1A D2 state tournament, I think, in a good position to defend their title as well.
So I think Council beat Tri-Valley twice by 4 total points. 2 games by 2 points. So, you never know. I mean, Tri-Valley just, recently fell to Salmon River. And so if they're able to get through to Salmon River and beat them this time, barring Salmon River losing to Horseshoe Bend, you know what? Tri-Valley's possibly got a chance to pull the upset there. It was just very close to really one basket the other way. And it's a different story when we're talking about Tri-Valley on top. So, I do think Council is the team to beat, but man, I don't know. I mean, Tri-Valley wouldn't surprise me. I think Tri-Valley gets the bid, that second bid at minimum.
It'll be a fantastic race between the top 3 there, though. I think it's going to be really fun and exciting for sure. All right, those are the girls basketball district tournament brackets, Logan. We are going to take a break, hear from our sponsors from No Vape Idaho. When we come back, some very quick boys basketball and wrestling thoughts. You're watching and listening to the Treasure Valley Prepcast presented by No Vape Idaho on IdahoSports.com.
It's not like I'm doing drugs.
Nicotine can negatively impact the developing brain and make it more susceptible to other addictive substances. Students that vape are 3 times more likely to start smoking weed. And kids who share vapes can unknowingly inhale other drugs like THC, meth, or fentanyl, causing permanent lung damage, overdose, and even death. Be smart, don't start.
This is the Treasure Valley Prepcast presented by No Vape Idaho. Be smart, don't start. Logan, did you know that the vaping industry is pumping millions upon millions of dollars into targeted marketing and advertising geared specifically towards teenagers? You might be sitting there going, I watch TV. I never see any vaping commercials. Yeah, it's all on social media. It is targeted ads. They are going for our teenagers. This is why I love No Vape Idaho, because they're saying, hey, let's take the fight to their arena.
And what's crazy is I posted on Instagram, our Instagram page, a No Vape post the other day. And I think social media is trying to fight it, but I actually got flagged as promoting vaping. And I said, no, I'm trying to stop it. And I had to put in an appeal to get the post back. It ended up coming back. But it's scary that they must know ways to circumvent that. That's the scary part, right? Is because I think social media is trying to stop it, but they can't. It's just flooding it and coming at it so fast. And it's just disappointing to see people out there probably knowingly pushing something that is going to get people, because they know once they get them, it's hard to get them. They're a customer for life, essentially, is what they're shooting for.
And here's the trick, right? Here's how this works. And I'm glad that you are, sharing what No Vape Idaho is doing, because we have an audience and a platform here in Idaho that we can certainly reach. But a big company like Facebook, another big company like Big Vape, they're going to pour millions of dollars into advertising in Facebook. And so Facebook's not going to do anything to stop that, right? They're going, hey, we got the money coming in. We're good. And that is so greasy. And there's a lot of problems with social media. So I'm glad somebody is saying, okay, let's fight fire with fire and get this message out. And so No Vape Idaho is doing a tremendous job.
Yeah. So thanks for the support there and helping to get their message out. They want everybody to be aware. There's even a nice documentary on their website that you can watch about it there too.
Yep, for sure. So No Vape Idaho, be smart, don't start. You can type in No Vape Idaho. That's no with a KNOW, and type that into your favorite browser, and you'll find the website from there. It's No Vape Idaho. Okay, question from Chris. Any chance the Idaho High School Activities Association actually looks into the legitimacy of the Max Preps rankings? Paul answered this question. No.
What's a period? Not end of story.
Here's what I'll say. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. There is a new executive director, taking over July 1st, Chad Williams. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So a new leader sometimes brings new ideas. My argument is it shouldn't matter who the executive director is. The board is actually the body that has the power, but it does seem like sometimes the executive director has more power than the board, and it's supposed to be kind of a checks and balances thing. But I guess start there. And if you're really passionate about it, contact your local athletic director, and then they can report it to the board. That's where it starts. The people have to stand up and say, we want change.
Yeah. And yeah, it's got to start somewhere. And we saw that happen this year, right? With the classification thing, right? The board said no, and everybody said, nah, this is actually what we want. And it happened, right? They were able to get it done. So it's not impossible for change to occur. And hopefully if there is something that they'll look at it and really see if it's, and I've said this before on other things, let's see if it's better for the kids. Let's make the decision that doesn't affect somebody ego, somebody's pocketbook, somebody's anything, except for what is better for the kids. Because when those get involved, it doesn't actually benefit who it should. It's about the athletes and about what is better for their experience, right? It is not about anything else. And if it is, we've gotten away from what truly it is about.
Yep. I don't think I convinced Chris or Paul. So again, Chris asked, any chance the IHSA looks into the legitimacy of the rankings? Paul says no. Chris says, my thoughts exactly. And so anyway.
Well, we said like I don't think anybody knows what goes into it. So,
right.
and so I, like you said, a bit of computer, a bit of human would definitely help this.
Yes, totally agree. All right, quickly, because we ran along talking girls hoops on the brackets. Two big stories from boys basketball I wanted to touch on. We had the rematch between Garden Valley and Cascade. The first time these two teams played, it was in Garden Valley. Cascade built up this huge lead. Garden Valley nearly pulled off the comeback, but they fell short by just 2 points. We finally got the long-awaited rematch in Cascade. Garden Valley wins that going away by 20, 59-39. Debate over. Garden Valley, the team to beat. They are 19-2 overall, Logan. 9-1 in conference. Their only losses were to Cascade by 2 and Camas County on the road in Fairfield, 78-61. And that's kind of, a consensus top 2 team along with Kendrick right now. So Garden Valley loaded for bear. Yeah.
And they've kind of just snuck under the radar. I feel like kind of quietly, all of a sudden you say, wow, are they really 19-2? And yeah, that's true. And man, it really looks like the same that we saw in football, right? It's the same teams left that we're going to see at state that we saw at state football. Camas County and Kendrick, potentially the top 2 seeds. We saw Garden Valley win a game and then lose to Camas County in the playoffs. A lot of the same olds are probably going to be dancing in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun tournament, 1A D2 boys for sure. On the other side of the coin here, 5A basketball, Logan. I gave the kiss of death to the Mountain View boys basketball team last week. Last week on the show, I said, of all these teams that are in this glom, and the glom still exists. All right, Hawaii's 8-0, but then you've got Meridian and Boise each 7-2, Timberline 6-3, Centennial and Eagle are each 5-3, Capital and Mountain View are each 4-4, Middleton's 3-5, Cunis 3-6. I mean, that's a separation of 3 games between most of those schools. I said Mountain View is going to be the team that takes second. And then they went out and lost 3 in a row to Middleton, to Boise, and to Timberline. They did finally get a win to snap the streak against Bora on Saturday, 60-53. So I will pose the question to you again here. I think the SIC is going to get 6 teams to state. I think that's pretty clear. I think they'll win both of their play-in games. Can you give me the 6 that you think will get there?
Oh, okay. So it's really going to come down. There are some big games late, like for teams like Boise. All of a sudden, man, where have the Brave been in any conversation? They're currently sitting promptly. They're in second at 7-2. They have a tough down the stretch, though. They're going to have to play Owyhee and Timberline to close out the season. So those are going to be some big games. But I like Owyhee as one of those. I like Meridian as one, so there's 2. I like Timberline, there's 3. I like Boise, there's 4. And then I like Capital. So give me Capital as 5, and then give me Eagle. Those are going to be that's my 6 from the SIC.
Okay, I like it. I'll go Owyhee, Meridian, Timberline. Those are kind of the easy ones for me.
Yep.
And then I will go Eagle. I think Eagle finds a way. I'll go Mountain View. I still believe in the Mavericks and Coach John Middleton. And I will go Centennial with my last spot.
All right.
That's
okay. So we differ on our bottom group. I think we both had Eagle there. But we'll have to see. I mean, it's going to come down. It's like Middleton's even had some close games. Like they were probably the toughest game that Hawaii's had in a long time. They were able to find a way there. So, you never know who could come out of that 6th spot. I mean, that 6th spot will be one that'll be fun to watch.
That district tournament is going to be must see action.
Wild. Yeah.
No doubt about it. So we each took Owyhee and Meridian, Timberline and Eagle. You took Boise and Capital. I took Centennial and Mountain View. We'll see who was right. That'll be a lot of fun. And like you said, there's so many important games still to come. Those standings are definitely going to change. Okay. Let's talk wrestling really quick. Last week was the North Idaho Rumble up in Coeur d'Alene. Caldwell went up there on the boys' side and took 2nd place. They fell to, first of all, American Falls, a 3A school, won the tournament, which is good for them. That's really good.
Yeah.
Caldwell took 2nd. The hosts from Coeur d'Alene took 3rd. So for Caldwell to go up there and beat Coeur d'Alene on their home arena, so to speak, I thought was a big performance for the Cougars.
Yeah, that's awesome for them. We don't hear much about Caldwell really outside of soccer because that is where they shine on the field, and it's good to see them getting something done in another way. And it makes sense, Brandon, that there was a tournament up there. I drove up to Lapway to do a game, and as I was driving up the Whitebird Hill there, on the side of the hill, looking over the edge, I'm sure throwing rocks or doing something silly, was the West Side Pirates bust. And I'm like, man, what? You are a long way from home right now. What are you doing up here? So it makes sense. Probably a wrestling match. So I'm guessing that's probably where they were headed.
Yeah, so Westside actually went to Clearwater Valley hosted a tournament.
Okay, so they were going up there. Okay.
Yeah, they were going to Kuski. But yes, there was a lot of action in North Idaho last week. Caldwell, individual champs. Jackson Freeman at 113. Draven Johns at 126. He's a D1 wrestler. Grayson Go at 145. Jace Wolf at 152. Congratulations to the individual champs there. And then Logan, Caldwell is getting ready to host a couple of duels tonight. They're going to host Columbia and then also New Plymouth in a couple of a tri match essentially. But the cool thing that Caldwell is doing here, and this is from the Caldwell High School Wrestling Facebook page, we are super excited to invite head girls basketball coach Amber Green to join us as a guest coach for our duels against New Plymouth and Columbia. Coach Green will join us for all aspects of the evening, including team talks, roll around, pre-match, and bench coaching. Top, bottom, neutral, or defer. What's it going to be, Coach? Come see Coach Green make her wrestling coaching debut starting at 5 o'clock at Caldwell High School. Let's go. I love this idea. What a cool concept.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see how she does there and that and gets the kids ready to go. And maybe she'll make some aggressive moves like not kicking field goals in the NFC Championship game, right? Make some make some aggressive play calls, wrestling, whatever you call them there. During that match. Should be fun to see for that.
Yeah, and you know, she does such a great job with that Caldwell program. Has taken the Cougars to state several times in girls hoops.
Yeah.
You know, they're 7-13 this year, 3-9 in league play, but she is getting every ounce out of those players. And they're actually a really fun team and enjoyable to watch. They just beat Skyview, the team that's ahead of them in the standings. They beat them Monday night 41-36 in their regular season finale. So, you know, it'll be really interesting to see how everything shakes out for Caldwell. That's a team I'm keeping an eye on. But yeah, Coach Green, coaching wrestling. I think there should be more crossover with the coaches.
Yeah, that would be. I would definitely watch something like that. I want to see basketball coach out there making a play call as the offensive coordinator or something like that. Now, in a lot of smaller schools, that's extremely common. Where
right,
but at a bigger school where people are more specialized, it would be fun to see that a little more.
Yeah, that would be a fun exercise. Maybe we can come up with offline lists of coaches we'd like to see and what sports they would coach. That'd be interesting for sure. So, all right. Big thanks to everybody for tuning into the Treasure Valley Prepcast. Sorry we went a little long today, but we had to dive into all of the district tournament results, which always takes a little longer. But enjoy the competitions this week. Check back to IdahoSports.com for all the latest district bracket updates. And of course, my daily bracketology updates. In fact, I got to work on that as soon as we're done here, Logan. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. For Logan Green, I'm Brandon Baney, and we will see you next time on the Treasure Valley Prepcast, presented by No Vape Idaho on IdahoSports.com.